Hey, it's another edition of Damn Music Show. I am Darren.
And I'm Micah.
We're going to do a decade discussion, and we're going to focus on the 80s going to the 90s.
Yep.
And the question at hand is, did grunge, the Seattle sound grunge, not that those are the same thing, but they're kind of related, did it kill the glam hair metal music of the 80s? And to be clear... To be clear. I think it's to be fair, right?
It is.
Yeah, but that's good.
It's our rendition of it.
To be clear, so I define, not that I'm the expert, but I was alive and listening to it. I define that time period 1982 to about 1992, that hair, glam, metal time period. Motley Crue, Poison, Rat,
Kiss,
Dokken, Kiss, without a doubt. I think the first band in that category was Hanoi Rocks in 81, 82. I think the last was kind of Skid Row. But that's the type of music we're talking about. And then Nirvana came along in the early 90s. Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. That created a whole new type of rock. And so the question is, did
Smashing Pumpkins?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would put them in a maybe category. I would say no.
Yeah.
But the question is, did that time period kill that music from the 80s? Micah, your take.
Do you remember Bush as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
They count?
More than Smashing Pumpkins,
So
yes.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What is it about the Smashing Pumpkins that puts them in a different category? Not that they're not grunge, but like, what puts them out of grunge?
I hear them more in the pop side of things.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel.
Yeah.
I find them as well not like
I wish it was a black and white answer.
Yeah,
like that,
I think
but
I don't find them as typical grunge, but I find them still like, if we have to take the elements of grunge, right?
Yeah.
Authentic, raw, aggressive, not unpolished, but kind of like this is happening. Not like Eddie Van Halen. Every note is going to be perfect. Okay.
Well, you know what's interesting about this discussion is most artists and musicians don't want to be put in a box and classified and labeled. But for the purposes of these discussions, we have to kind of label things, because otherwise, what the hell are we talking about?
I also find like labels to be wonderful. I don't know if that's just me, but like for a certain extent, you kind of find yourself like I'm sure while Nirvana pushed against it, like they were a thing. It is what it is. They were grunge. They were grunge.
As long as you're not limited to the labels, I guess.
But like, would you put Nirvana in anything else but grunge?
No.
Me either.
Right.
I'd stick them right in grunge, firmly. And anybody that tries to leave grunge, like our 4-leaf clover segment.
Yes.
Like we talked about MCR, it didn't quite land, did it?
Right.
Yeah. Think about like a lot of the great albums that like people are just like, what? Because it's not that the album's bad. They built a fan base around the sound.
Things change by evolution or revolution, and it's okay to evolve.
Yeah.
And I think that's healthy, but to just all of a sudden revolution, you got 2 or 3 albums in, and then you all of a sudden go completely a different direction, a whole album. Yeah. Unless you signal to your fans that's what you're going to do, and it's kind of shocking.
And not many people have done that, but like, there's very few bands that have done that.
Yeah.
There's really like...
Taylor Swift did it.
Taylor Sweezy, T. Sweezy did it.
Yes.
The Beatles, of course.
Yes.
Paul Simon did it. Anyone in between those gaps that went just like way left to right?
Not that are big. There's, yes, I will think of her name. Shelby Lynn was a singer in country music who put out 2 albums, and amazing voice, and she did not do very well. She actually did some swing stuff, and then she went completely pop. You would love her music if you don't know her, Shelby Lynn. And then she wrote her one big song was for a movie, Bridget Jones' Diary, I think. Sure. So Shelby Lynn changed, but she never got huge, but she definitely went to pop after country did not work out for her, and was more successful.
So I guess the question is for you, and I'm curious, do you think this Seattle Sound grunge killed glam rock? Do you think that was the end of it? Nail in the coffin?
Yeah, so we slightly differ on this, which is fun. I think the answer is no. I think the grunge sound filled a gap for that genre of music that was slowly dying, and they were next in line. And I think they were the coup de grace. They put the finishing touches on it. That time period of music, we're talking 82 to 92, for the hair metal guys, not Journey, not Bryan Adams,
Okay.
not the new wave guys.
Who I think also went out at the same time though. Like
Yes,
they didn't come with.
that was the baby going out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
But different type of music, similar but different type of music. I think they didn't really change. They didn't evolve, right? Nor
Yeah.
did they revolve. They just kept doing the same stuff
Yeah.
over and over, and that music ran its course, and it wasn't very mature music lyrically. Musically, some of the stuff was great. Van Halen was a great musician. There's a band called Tesla I think were a great musician.
Sure.
But they did some different stuff.
I mean, let's establish. I mean, glam rock had some amazing musicians.
Oh yeah.
Really, the first shredders.
Right.
Mind.
And none of this is ever designed to badmouth anybody, but it's music's a talking sport.
For sure.
But you think that time period did sort of end.
I did.
It made it passe. It made it a little corny to listen to a little bit.
I think it killed it, and I think it did it with like aggression.
Right.
like they showed up and said, "You're all fake. I don't like anything you're doing. The industry is completely shot from the guts out. Welcome to Nirvana.
You don't need pleather pants.
You don't need pleather pants to play this riff. And I'll tell you, there's a guy that was really in pain. I mean, not that the others weren't, but like, I mean,
Nikki Sixx was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of them were.
But listen, I don't. Motley Crue came to town where I grew up and played Reunion Arena, 20,000 people, 3 nights in a row in the mid '80s.
Yeah,
they sold out. 60,000 people.
Most of those bands are still selling out. So like, did it kill it? Not really, but like we stopped to a certain extent. We adjusted. Culture went on. So like when we say we killed it, we mean they're all retired. They own some of the biggest mansions in the world, and they're still doing just fine.
Yes,
it was just really a pivotal moment where the next gen said, "Nuh-uh, not interested in this. This is garbage."
Yes.
Welcome to Nirvana. Welcome to Soundgarden, welcome to Cornell. Let's get back to it. Which, for me, I'm a pretty big advocate of just because I was always blown away as I got to it later. For me, you can have a great song without great lyrics, but you can kill a song without great lyrics, if that makes sense. And I do think, man, Cornell and everybody that came through that area, Pearl Jam,
here's what
Eddie
Cornell
Vedder, unbelievable lyrics. Holy cow.
Here's what Cornell and Alice in Chains and those guys did is that I think they also upped the game on singing. And Scott Weiland.
But I mean, some of the '80s guys had
but some of them
chops.
Some of those guys had huge chops. But if you look at, there's a guy named Jeff Tate who sang for Queensryche.
Yeah,
operatic voice, but he sang out of key a lot, and that was crazy. But you could like Van Halen, who I love and seen plenty of time. I do not consider David Lee Roth a premier.
I'm kind of jealous that you got to see
vocal.
I would totally see that.
There's a generation gap between. He's not a great vocalist, but that was an awesome band, and he was an amazing showman. Right? He was a true rock star.
Yeah.
But I don't. If you took a 25-year-old David Lee Roth and put him in Soundgarden, it would have sounded dumb. It
wouldn't have been Soundgarden. That's for sure. I mean,
in that time period, it just you couldn't do it. Dee Snider, the singer for Twisted Sister, nobody's gonna say nobody goes to a Twisted Sister concert to see Dee Snider's thing. So I think that what grunge did with the authenticity that you're talking about, they all had to be authentic. They all had to up their game with their musicianship, and I think the level of singing went along.
The level of singing, I mean, was pretty stellar. I mean, I guess if we're being very specific, we're talking about Nirvana.
Right.
Maybe not so much. But if we're talking about, Vedder, if we're talking about Cornell.
Yes. Two of the best rock voices of all time.
Oh, wow. I mean, and for me, really, Cornell, but I love Vedder. I love Pearl Jam. And then as you got later, which is funny, like, I would put Incubus actually in there. Crushing vocalist, wonderful writer, fantastic writing. Kind of came late to the game, so maybe not as big as them, but obviously Incubus is huge. I was trying to grab tickets and they just came back.
Well, the door was already open for Incubus with that genre of music when they came around.
It was, and maybe for them almost regrettably so. I mean, it was like picking up where Cornell maybe left off.
Yeah,
to an extent.
They put the last nail in the coffin for.
So I think it was if we're saying nail in the coffin, the turning point of the whole next generation following a new path of grunge, and a lot of stuff was coming up. So we're really just talking about grunge in there because we had rap coming through strong and hard then. It was really a cultural shift along with grunge rock and rap. I mean, those two were bombing in the 90s, 2000s.
Aggressive, authentic rap was
Absolutely.
around because
Absolutely.
rap
It was all about authenticity.
Yeah, RMDC, Beastie Boys, and maybe even like early Sir Mix-a-Lot. That was, those guys were rapping about sneakers and hanging out with their friends. But in that late '80s NWA, then
Straight out of Compton,
shit
baby.
got real,
And it very much got real. And I think that's how we felt about Nirvana.
That's why I feel like that grunge didn't kill it. I feel like society was getting more mature at that time with more information coming out. We went to in the late '80s and the early '90s, we went to a 24 news cycle that with cable news that didn't exist back then, and I think people were like, "Wow, we need to grow up a little bit," and that ushered in. But who knows?
Question is where you think we're at now, but maybe that's another topic.
Yes,
because I'd be curious about that.
But that's what this segment's about. We're gonna talk a lot about decade to decade as how the '60s transitioned into the '70s and how the '70s went into the '80s, and then how the Vietnam War impacted the '70s and counterculture and how technology, recording studios changed the game from this and sampling music and all that stuff changes decade to decade to decade.
That's something I'm really interested in, and something I would love to talk about is how technology has repeatedly driven and been out in front of music. You can go back to everything. Guess what came out right before Chuck Berry?
Right.
Electric guitar, the amplifier. Guess what Chuck did on the amplifier? He turned the knob to 11. My amp goes to 11.
Yes.
And he distorted it. Everyone goes, that's terrible. It's not how it's supposed to sound. Guess who's famous and who's not?
Right.
You go into the Beatles. You go into Floyd. New sounds, new sounds, new sounds. The Moog, the keyboard, new ways to record. 80s, guess what? Digital. Tom hits are getting like they're MIDI. You got MIDI samples coming through.
So speaking of topics, we'd love to hear what topics you want us to talk about, particularly as it relates to the decades and technology. The Damn Music Show at Gmail. We have actually already gotten some listener emails that we're going to answer very soon and do a live show soon. So this is the decade discussion. Anything else about grunge killing here, Mel?
Decade discussion. I'm feeling good about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please smash the subscribe button below. I'm Micah.
I'm Darren. We'll see you in the next video.
Cheers.